From the City of Angels, you're listening to the James Salazar Media Podcast. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the State of the Union. So let me strike the music, and I'll meet you on the other side. And welcome to the James Salazar Media Podcast. Hi, I'm your host, James Salazar, a.k.a. The Media. What's up, savages? Another podcast coming to you from the City of Angels adjacent from West Covina, California. We'll be moving to Whittier, which is still Los Angeles adjacent. East of LA, but not East LA. But I digress. Yesterday, the President of the United States gave the State of the Union, and a lot of people have an opinion upon it, and I'm here to give you mine. Now, we look at the polling data. The American people, those who watched, looked favorably, had a favorable attitude towards his speech. And, which we'll get to in a little bit, they had a favorable view of his immigration policy. Now, this was not going to happen because Nancy Pelosi was not going to let the president speak in the House of Representatives, because she's a Speaker of the House, to give the State of the Union because of the government shutdown. And everybody was heralding Nancy Pelosi's negotiation tactics. And I'm at a loss because... And let me tell you how I see it. So he says, I'm going to open the government for 3 months. She sort of falls for it and lets him give his State of the Union, where he addresses what he needs from them. He states his case why it is a moral and logical step to build a wall. And then he's going to go back and ask for the money. She's going to say no. The government shuts down again. So he got her to let him do the State of the Union and then shut the government down again. This seems like a very stupid move by Nancy Pelosi. She should have stuck to her guns and never let him until he funded the government for the whole year. But 3 weeks and she caves to give him the State of the Union address. That is bad calculation, because he has said he is not going to ask anything less but what he needs. And that should have been a cue that we're going to get back into this shutdown unless they give him what he wants. So, but if that doesn't happen, then yeah, she definitely made a great calculated move. She got what she wanted to happen. The wall was not going to be built, but I mean, he doubled down on it last night. He definitely doubled down on the wall, and he got to state his case to more people than he was, because not a lot more people watched the State of the Union, but it controls the media at that moment in time. And if you're watching it, you're going to get the gist of it. And I mean, because very few people watch Fox News and CNBC and CNN. Most people they're really not watching those programs. It's only those who are diehard politicals who really like to watch that every day. but the State of the Union gets more of a prominent view through television and through the media just for that moment. And and more people are watching, so he was able to state his case why he's in the right and they're in the wrong. And then, as he asked for the $5 billion again, and then he shuts the government down again, she is exactly in the same place as she was, but he got his way. So, yeah, he gave the State of the Union. He recounted all his accomplishments, and there are a lot. There are a whole lot, especially dealing with the economy. I mean, at the very end of the day, people vote their pocketbook. People do not want to make less money. All these other problems and all these other issues, at the end of the day, people do not want to go back into recession. People don't want their savings to be diminished and their investments to go down. And if there is momentum with this president, people are going to keep that momentum. Now, if the economy goes down, it doesn't really matter what Donald Trump has done. They're going to kick him out of there. They're not going to give him another chance. But the president did state the case of unreasonable positions by the Democrat. I mean, it was smart to go at the abortion, because most people think abortion is like the first trimester, before a brain is formed. That's when people think most abortions are, and I think most abortions are that. But in New York, this idea that the baby can be out of your womb and the mother still has a choice whether that baby lives or dies. Nobody with any kind of morality is gonna go for that, and most people don't even know New York was considering that. And I guarantee you, when he talked about it during the State of the Union, I think a lot of people opened their eyes, and they're going to watch this very closely. You're going to start watching the Democratic Party a little bit more closely. If they are putting up propositions that allow mothers to kill babies after they're born, or and to be fair, sort of fair, if the baby is having problems, if the mother says, no, don't resuscitate the baby, the doctor will have to comply. Well, no. Well, that baby is alive now, and it is independent from the mother, and you must always do good and try to save the life of the baby. I mean, they want to take away the rights of the baby even outside the body. We're trying to, as conservative, trying to get rights for the baby in the womb. After a certain trimester, we hope and we're expecting that there shouldn't. What we want from society is not to have abortions after the third trimester, because I mean, anybody who looks at the film of a doctor getting forceps and pulling the arms off the baby and decapitating the baby and the baby recoiling in pain, we can see this happening in the womb now. When people see that, they immediately become pro-life for the second and third trimester. And if those who are pro-life put those disturbing pictures for everyone to see, you'll see a lot of people who just have not made that connection of what it truly is. Look at that picture of a doctor just pulling the arms off the baby and the baby recoiling in pain, taking his head off, people will like, oh no, that's not what I'm for. I'm not for that. I'm more for this clump of cells that's not truly formed yet, and getting rid of that. That's what people intellectually are thinking. And if I think in America, if those who are smart about pro-life would do the radical and start showing those things, I think we can, as a nation, say there has to be a certain moral responsibility the mother has to have to a third trimester baby, and maybe even the second. I don't foresee in our society that we're gonna be able to illegalize abortion for the first trimester. I don't think that's ever gonna happen. That's my opinion. Yeah, so I say all that to say this. So he gave the list of his accomplishments. Undoubtedly, what is it? 5 million people off of food stamps. I forget the other number of many people off welfare. People actually having jobs where that are worth having, that pays them more than welfare and food stamps do. That's a good thing. 5 million people off food stamps, people being paid enough and have jobs that they're able to afford food for their family, that they can get off the government assistance. That's good, no matter how you look at it. Some people might think it's bad because they think the only good minority is the controlled minority, and the best way to control minorities is, like always, the cliche: feed a man a fish, he'll eat every day, every time you give him a fish. But if you teach a man a fish, he will feed himself every day of his life. Well, and the problem with that, when a man learns how to fish, he no longer needs the teacher or the person who will give him the fish. And then they vote different. They start voting for the public servant that wants to allow more fishing in more areas. You know what I'm trying to say. It is simple as that. There's a group of people that know if there's enough people dependent upon government for their livelihood, and they believe the system's rigged against them and there's no hope, and the only way they can achieve these gains are through government entitlements, those people are always going to vote in. And as those people become dependent upon those people are always going to vote for the people who offering those free things. But once people get off it and they become their own boss, and they become, or not become their own boss, that they're able to work and get paid for their labor. Because when you work and get paid for your labor, it feels good. It feels right. This is why entitled people are some of the most miserable people, because deep in their heart they don't want something free. They'd rather work hard for it, but they have habits and mentalities that destroy the human spirit, and they start to, and they know they're dependent upon it. They know they're having their hat handed to them, and it doesn't feel good. It feels necessary, but it doesn't feel good. Well, getting 5 million people off food stamps means hope. Means hope for those people. They're feeling good about themselves now. I was on food stamps. I've always wanted, and I look back at that time and I don't feel good about it. I appreciated it, but I felt like it was unfair to certain other people. I mean, I was happy when I got it at first, like, yeah, jackpot, free money from the government. But then you lose your drive, you lose your motivation, and you start to say to yourself you're going to get out of the situation, but when they're willing to give it to you whether you want it or not, it destroys drive, it destroys motivation. We see that with statistics, and I see that just me being on it myself. So, say all that to say this. The economy is doing great. And we have the most growing economy in the world right now. It was China, but it was up there for a little bit. About a good 10 years. They were competing against us, but now we are back on top. And Hispanic, Asian, and Black employment has been higher than ever before. Especially Black unemployment has been higher since the creation of our nation. I mean, there's a lot of accomplishments that he's listed, and I encourage you to go back and listen to it. And then when he says he's done something, go back and see if he's actually done it. Okay? Don't take his word for it. But once you go back and you see what he has accomplished, and you have hate for him, and you have the ridiculous charges of racism. I mean, he says stupid stuff, but his whole, how he and what he has done shows the exact opposite of what a racist would do. He's actually helped more people and more minorities be as president than anybody who worked for the ACLU. There are tangible results that Black people are doing better. Black incarceration is down. They got jobs. And they're seeing hope. Even though they look at this president and think he's a racist because of certain propaganda, their lives are doing better. Not everybody's. But America's doing good. And there's optimism in the air. And people would like to think it's because of, how can this guy do that in 2 years? Well, simple, You just if you get government out of the way, and let the American people be who they are, they'll thrive. But if you make government stronger, the government will rig it in a way where you're dependent upon it. And in that way, the system will be rigged against you. But by you allowing such people and voting for such people, they first have to rig you against the system. And the system I'm talking about is capitalism and freedom, Americanism. So that's what I wanted to say today, after the State of the Union. Hey, if you think I'm full of shit, put it in an email or post it on any of my social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, LinkedIn. Just put in there and I will read it and I will answer your critique for sure, if you like, or if you just want to add to, please. Also, push subscribe if you like the show. And If you want to check out any of my services, JamesSalazarMedia.com. And if you want to see what I'm doing with my music, you can get that at the website also. So until then, my friends, when the storms of life come against you and there seems no hope, stand tall, raise your head high, and take a look at that storm and say what my sensei Jack Burton always says: give me your best shot.